Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram 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 Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody.
Hari Om.
Pranam, pranam, pranam.
Pranamas, Swamiji, pranamas.
Pranam, pranam.
Pranamas. Hari Om, pranam Swamiji.
Yes, pranam, pranam.
Hari Om Swamiji, Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Yesterday, what was shared by us? The cream of yesterday's.
Difference between the desire and aspiration.
Is that so? Desire and aspiration, yes, the topic came. But what was requested, you know?
How to know if what we want is filtered by the ego or if it's coming directly from the source. And you talked about it being spontaneous when it comes directly from the source.
You have to know, is it coming from the source or the ego?
No.
So that she asked the question.
Any thought, whether that it owes to the origin, where does it owe to the origin? Either to the indwelling reality or from the sense of individuality, you know? Yes, then. No, all these things are there, but we requested everybody that our satsang session should not be a one-way traffic.
All should practice.
Everyone who is keeping quiet, They should come forward with whatever thought that has sprung up there or what has been kindled, and it should be brought out. If everybody is not in a position to vocally present, they can send it through email. And yesterday we were sharing the contents of 2 emails which were related to everybody's life. It is not to the person who has written. The advantage is when it is shared, everyone can connect themselves with the theme.
Swamiji, self-originated prayer, Swami.
Self-originated prayer.
Self-originated prayer. What is meant by self-originated prayer? Normally, many Mahatmas, after scaling the heights, they have shared their experiences with us, and they have quoted their prayer. Everyone was original. What we do is we are only repeating the prayer. For example, in our case, we repeat universal prayer. Now suddenly we remember now, in spite of remembering it for 30, 40 years, we have not been able to live up to what we have been praying. So that means nothing wrong in it. Because it is not original, it is not coming from the depth of the heart. So they teach us how to bring out a prayer. So we have to bring out our own prayer. In one of the emails which we shared yesterday, the devotee shared his own prayer to Papa, the indwelling reality. And it was so touching. So that means by prompting him to make such prayer and sending us here, the Lord has touched and kindled in us that we should also try to talk to him in our own language. So far we were talking to him in somebody's language. We may be talking about the outer guru's language. No. That will not help us beyond certain level. Initially it might help, because to know how to pray. But later on, it should come from deep from our own. This is a very important point. The in-depth study of In Quest of God teaches us throughout many chapters how Papa was praying to him. And finally, in the cave, the heart pourings from the cave, he has mixed up these 3. What are the 3? Struggles, prayer, experience. Naturally, for any venture, whether it is spiritual or mundane, struggle is necessary. First, a concept is given to us by him. Then he gives us the proper guidance to move forward. Then unforeseen problems crop up. For no fault of us, it gets halted. The struggle. Just imagine about Papa's life. After coming out with a diploma in textile engineering, he got a job in Chennai. For no fault of his, lost that job. Again he gets another job in Coimbatore. For no fault of his, he loses that job. Again he gets another one in Quailon, in Kerala, South Kerala, then Travancore. For no fault of his, he loses that job. Like that, then he was shifted to Gulbarga, Nadia, like that, so many places, struggle. And finally, he landed in Mangalore, where his father-in-law was there. Father-in-law was prompted to start the same dyeing, saris, all these work, it was taken up. That became another failure. The struggle goes on, you see. And then, finally he started his own Anandashram, Vittal Rao company. Initially it had good response. Slowly the decline started. And then it landed in mounting liabilities, unable to get an answer for anything from any quarter, the severest form of trouble. Struggle, sorry. Where is rest, where is peace? No. We all know that struggle was necessary for enabling him to pray from the bottom of the heart. And because of his keen aspiration, yesterday we were talking about desire and aspiration. Because of his intense, keen, focused aspiration, he intuitively felt the prayer has been heard from the great void, from the origin, from the source of all sources. And then later on, experiences. Even during the experiential phase, again there were struggle, again there were first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, so you go on. The second chapter clearly mentions, the struggle. He was able to identify, diagnose the exact problem. What was the problem? The me and mine. So he prayed. I want nothing else but I want to be always, I want to become aware of your guidance, and you please remove the I-ness from me. O Ram, thou art all in all to thy slave. Thou art the sole protector in the world. Men are deluded when they declare, I do this, I do that, this is mine, that is mine. All, O Ram, is thine. All things are done by thee alone. Thy slave's one prayer to thee is to take him under thy complete guidance and remove his I-ness. Second chapter. The prayer from the bottom of the heart. No? Suppose we only read this, it will not have any impact. It has given us the clue now. We should do some probing deep. And when we meet with failure after failure, the prayer comes from the bottom of the heart with a request to show us the way out. We are depending on external factors that will not help us. Only to some extent in the initial stages, how to pray, We look at ourselves when we can see that. For 3 decades, 4 decades, 5 decades, 6 decades, we have been associating with the Papa's thoughts. What has its impact on us? So in-depth study of Inquest of God reveals this. Self-originated prayer. One word, when it unfolds, so many dimensions well up in our heart, it will help us in our sadhana. Otherwise, we will be only, copy-paste. We are reading, something is there, it doesn't become mine. Sit down. Honestly speaking, it doesn't become mine. So self-originated prayer. Think about it. A prayer composed by an evolved soul does touch and kindle so many positive vibrations in us. It makes us to, but we should not be halting there. I must draft my own, in my own language. In so many other places I would have read, I would have memorized. I may be able to reproduce. But we cannot keep on reproducing others, We should, something original should come from us. Papa has been very blunt in this. Sadhana is there? He is very blunt. He says, a pedagogic enforcement of rules and regulations without rightly studying and understanding their nature, instead of becoming a help, suppresses and distorts the natural growth and evolution. So what is needed is our own blossoming in our own way, not in the way somebody has designed. Because God, who is seated within, has a definite purpose through this life. So we are trying to unfold in our own way. And Papa keeps on saying, in the case of adults, the outside help consists in awakening the individual to a moral and spiritual life, and by hints and suggestions, enable him or her to find out for himself or herself the method and conduct of life by adopting which he or she can attain moral and spiritual perfection. Cult and dry rules applicable to all individuals and dominating insistence of a so-called higher authority on the individual for casting him into a new mold, as it were, for producing a Superman, is not at all the way. The life of the individual must grow like a bud into a flower and the flower into a fruit. As we provide the necessary conditions and environments for the growth and fruition of the bud into a fruit, so also is it with our life. In the life of the adult spiritual aspirant, the best discipline for his advancement and ultimate realization is the self-imposed discipline. Here, imitation and abject implicit obedience to the law set by anyone, however highly evolved he may be, will, instead of bringing into being an illumined individual, only produce a human robot without initiative, all its inner powers and beauty unexpressed, unrevealed. The keen aspiration for attaining the highest truth must be there. Contact with the divinely illumined personality must also be there, but the unfoldment of the hidden divine life and truth in the sadhaka must take place according to the nature and qualities of his inner and outer life and being. We know that we cannot hasten the ripening of a raw fruit, and if we by any process cause it to ripen artificially and prematurely, the taste of the fruit will never be the same as the one which has ripened in the natural course. Saints are therefore called the awakeners, whose grace works on the sadhaka like the sunlight on the lotus bud, which blossoms into a fragrant and beautiful flower. Unless the ego sense disappears, the divine life in us can never reveal itself in its glory. Be like a child, and power, charm, and sweetness of the divine will radiate through you like the luster of the gem. God should possess you, not in any part of your being, but in every atom, gross, subtle, of your entire physical, mental, vital being. You will become now a very image of the supernatural essence made up of infinite love, power, and joy. You behold all beings, creatures, and things in the world as your own reflections. Say yourself manifest as all those forms, as though you are looking at yourself in a mirror. This consciousness of divine unity and oneness of all existence is the summum bonum of a real divinized life which has attained the zenith of spiritual perfection. So in this article he makes it very, very clear, beyond any doubt, that initially we have to, why are we not moving, But in spite of closely associating with an illumined soul, in spite of closely associating with his teachings, What is happening to me? Something will be there in my memory. Something at the emotional level will be there. But what happens to the sense of individuality is progress towards the ultimate. So the most important thing is self-originated prayer, and thereon self-originated efforts. We used to share very often the sloka from Vivek Chudamani, a classic work of Adi Shankara. And there he says, somebody who has experiential knowledge. Say one family is suffering, they feel that they have nothing to fall back upon. Suddenly the wage earner has quit the scene. What am I to do now? So they approach the neighbor, uncle, who has been very close with him, and say his father has not left anything. From tomorrow onward, we don't know how to survive in this world. Then the uncle says, don't worry, your father has kept enough for 2-3 generations. But he has kept it in a place. The treasure is there. You have to remove the outer cover and start doing the mining, khananam. Going deeper and deeper into it. Take out the debris or stones or whatever it is that is blocking, and then perseveringly, patiently keep on doing it. Never you should get dispirited or dejected, because I guarantee he has kept it there. So then they start doing it. Suppose hearing this, it is an enlivening and a reassuring, soothing advice. Suppose they say, there is a treasure here, there is a treasure here, will the treasure will come out? Will I be able to own it? No. I have to follow what has been told to me. I have to dig out in my own way. I have to remove what is blocking in my own way. And then finally become the owner of the treasure. It has been beautifully brought out. Aptoktim khananam. So that means I have to do it, no? Shankaracharya specifically says, when we look at it and suppose we simply say, treasure, 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 the treasure will come. No. Similarly, Mahatmas who have scaled the heights, who have plumbed deep, and they have been able to experience the presence of the Almighty Lord of the universe, inside first and everywhere outside. And they declare, suppose we just say this, will it come out? No. I have to devise some method suitable for me, suitable for my mind-intellect equipment. If I do copy-pasting, it will not. My equipment will not take it, no, honestly. Because each one is unique. Somebody's instruction need not necessarily be applicable to me. I may not be able to accept it beyond certain level. Because in God's creation, everybody is unique. So the constitution of the body, constitution of the mind, taste, temperament, inclination, aptitude, limitation at the body level, mental level, intellectual level, all these things vary from person to person. So how can, even in another article, he will say, here itself he said, however high he may, however highly evolved he may be, here imitation and abject implicit obedience to the law set by anyone, however highly evolved he may be, He has given it from his own experience. So this is a point on which this inter-study touches and kindles in us. Very, very, very important. All Mahatmas became Mahatma because of their own individual effort and individual approach. Initially they need somebody, just like in the ordinary educational system. Same from the UKG, LKG level up to 10 or plus 2, same curriculum, same syllabus, same text in the same school. But each one blossoms in different way, But by the time they reach the 12th, each one will be able to know his taste, his preferences, his priorities. That is why somebody becomes a doctor, somebody becomes an engineer, somebody in engineer also, mechanical engineer, civil engineer, computer engineer. And in doctor also, so many different lines. All are not same. And then scientists in different lines. Agriculturists in different line. Somebody may be an expert in some plantations. Somebody may be interested in agriculture. All of them are products of the same curriculum. But are they following the same? No. So then we come to understand this educational system offers an opportunity for us to know our real taste, temperament, preferences and priorities. And each one tries to bring out their own individual efforts, and then they finally meet with success. They blossom as different people. In Kerala, we don't know whether it is there in any other place. It might be there, because we don't know that. In Kerala of late, there is a tendency to have these alumni, 70s, 80s, 90s, people who have appeared for the matriculation, SSLC or +1, +2, or 9th standard or 10th standard. Somehow somebody takes the initiative of locating him. He may be in different parts of India, different parts of the world. And they all join. And if any teacher is alive, they try to locate. And the teacher also comes there, makes him to sit in the teachers. All of them have grown old. But still they try to. Why? As an act of gratitude. We are all now trying, you touched and kindled in us the faculties or the capabilities or the potentialities that were lying dormant in us, that was touched, kindled and brought out by your effort. Many years ago, when we used to go to Wayanad, we used to see one teacher. That teacher also passed away now. But we used to see him because he had taught us mathematics in 6th and 7th standard. He was alive. So whenever we go to Wayanad, we try to make it a point to call on him. He will be supremely happy. Because when he was about to, when he saw this dress for the first time, when he was about to bow, I immediately got told, "What are you doing, sir?" It is all because of your blessings, Because we still remember him, we adore him. Not merely for the textual knowledge he gave us, something more than that academic. There was a bond between us and him with those teachers. Anyhow, so we are having, though the same syllabus, same curriculum, same teacher, and then we don't get all don't get 100 by 100, all don't get 90, all do 80 or 70 or 60. It depends, changes. Similarly, in spiritual matters also, they place before us, they touch and kindle the lying potentialities in us. And unless we try to bring it out in our own way, we will not eke out the maximum advantage of such texts, of such Mahatmas. All these thoughts came because of the one word, original, no? Self-originated. In-depth study, it's an in-depth study, not just casually we are reading it. Between the lines. Every effort made by Papa in keeping up that serenity, how was it possible? Trying moments, provocative moments, various challenges. 32 kilometers, 20 miles means 32 kilometers. Early morning they start to Pondicherry, and then they don't wear chappal, and on the road without chappal, 32 kilometers morning, and by noon they reach that place, and they wanted to have the darshan of Sri Aurobindo. Then they were told he has gone on 1 year solitude. Just imagine. But Papa was able to accept it, You and I will definitely complain, And the policeman who, on those days, it was French government's territory, and they had their own laws. So ultimately the police inspector wanted them to leave immediately. Having walked, no food, nothing. And then that was also received by him peacefully. Just imagine. What is it, when we just read it, it is an incident. We say, oh, how Papa was. So what? What happens to me? Indirectly, God is telling me, you are also subjected to go through such things. If not now, in the later period. But at that time, if you don't prepare your mind properly, you will be in distress. You will be in a stressful period. You will be in tension. You will have lost peace of mind. So by that, then we try to parade our own lives. What all He made us to go through. How He made us to accept situations. Initially, we may not bring in the God dimension. We will resign to what has been thrust on us. But a spiritual aspirant will definitely see the finger of God behind it. Think about all these things, Because yesterday we said, we have hardly 2 more months for this intense. So we should try to dig out as many points as possible which will help us to lead. To lead what? Or to reach what? The 37th chapter, last word gives us the message, serenity. The first sentence in the first chapter says, he portrays, how a stressful person, portrays the picture of a stressful person. Ramdas struggled on in a world full of chaos, anxieties and pains. It was a period of terrible stress and restlessness. And in the last 37th chapter, he says, now, that was in 1923, Ramdas stays by Ram's command in a cave called Panchapandava Cave on the Kadri hill and lives there a serene life, devoting his whole time in talking about, writing off, meditating on that all-loving, glorious Ram. A stressful life, a serene life. First in-depth study reveals this. Second thing is, when you go through the title, In Quest of God, who is in quest of God? Am I in quest of God? So he gives us this, the very title reminds us, yes, knowingly or unknowingly, we are in quest of God. At one time or other, even an agnostic, even an atheist, he will also, in utter helplessness, He may not bring the word God, but he will try to bring out that word, the same theme. Why am I subjected to this? What did I do? So self-origin, we started with this, self-originated discipline. Prayer. Self-originated disciplines, prayer. That will lead us to the experience which our mind intellect equipment can take up. Somebody's we may not be able to do it. It gives us some guidelines. It awakens us. We have to keep on thinking about it and tallying with our own life experience. Then only we will be able to understand. If we just read, we have reverence for Papa, faith in the words of Papa, everything is there. We read his books and teachings. His words of wisdom carry a lot of weight in our mind, but we are checking up to what extent we have been able to assimilate, absorb, actualize those themes in our very life. Why so? We have not connected it up with our own life. So, this is the message Papa gives through In Quest of God. For serious studies, lukewarm, no. Day for a study, we were reading one article, you remember? Spiritual heroism. In another article he says, the spiritual hero. It is rightly said that heroes are required to walk on the divine path because they alone, with a one-pointed mind and effort, can reach the goal. Those who try to protect their petty selfish interests and at the same time strive to progress on the path cannot achieve anything. It is like a man to whose legs are tied, heavy weights, attempting to climb up a hill. Unless the spiritual aspirant's mind becomes totally unworldly, unless he is fired with a burning zeal for God, unless his heart with an unflagging aspiration longs and longs for Him and Him alone, he cannot attain spiritual victory. To dare is the secret of success. That is a saying. It is eminently true in the case of a spiritual aspirant. Human values have to be substituted by spiritual values. Human ambitions must give place to a flaming desire for the divine. Attractions for the pleasures of the flesh should be abandoned for a concentrated love and devotion to God. The spiritual quest means a tremendous endeavor to transmute the merely temporal and ephemeral conception of life into the radiant, everlasting, blissful knowledge of it. It is a complete transformation which indicates a state of your all-round, magnificent spiritual perfection. The moment you put your step on the path, you shed all your weaknesses such as fear, timidity, doubt, selfishness. The very fact that you are out to attain the highest purpose of human life, namely Him, brings sunshine into your heart, light on your face, indomitable strength and courage to your will. Really, when life is dedicated in all its aspects of the divine, the human being will be born anew. His lower ignorant nature converted into the illuminated divine nature. What then is the outlook and vision of such an aspirant? The individual now becomes the embodiment of the universal, gifted with an all-embracing vision. his heart filled with love and compassion towards all beings and creatures of the world. Love is the dominating feature of such an enlightened and sanctified life. Joy eternal is the sweetest fruit of it. In the fullness and the overflowing exuberance of pure delight, he works untiringly for flooding the hearts of all beings with the light and peace immortal. In short, the ultimate fulfillment of human life lies in its revealing the inherent and hidden divine beauty, power, and glory. So such heroism is needed. No? All these thoughts come up because self-originated prayer, self-originated. Think about it, please. It's a great reminder to all of us what we have been doing and what are we to do now. Anybody would like to say anything?
Swamiji, there are so many missions and they are emanated so many prayers of their own, missions prayer. In that the positive and negative comes and the passive opposites also are very well expressed. So annul from our mind and equally have a poised effect on the opposites. Whether the negative is to be stressed, why not positive alone?
What is the negative aspect? In a prayer, what is the negative aspect?
இந்த சின்னையால பாத்தீங்கன்னாக்கா எல்லாம் நெகட்டிவ்ல கொஞ்சம் கொண்டு வந்து கொடுப்பாங்க. அது இல்லாம இருந்ததுன்னா எல்லாருக்குமே
நம்மளோட ஓன் வேணும் தான் நம்ம சொல்றோம். Why do we bother about others? Why do we bother about others? They have their own reasons to bring it out.
That's right.
The thrust now given is that we have to. Papa used to say in our own language, the child's language is understood by the mother. It need not necessarily be in conformity with the usual norms. Grammar, this and that, dictum, no. But the mother can understand the language of the child. Similarly, God can understand our own language. It need not necessarily be in the way in which we see in the Shastras or in the words expressed by Mahatmas. He is seated within us. We approach him in our own way. Whatever he has provided, we are approaching. Yesterday we saw that, a 4-line worded prayer. One devotee used to write letters to Papa. Whenever he is confronted with so many challenges, his faith in Papa is so deep, so he will write in a foolscap paper and before his the image there is a file and he will keep it there. To him, it gives him solace. Not necessarily that the outcome should be in line with what he has desired, but he is free from tension. He has reported it to the boss, that's all. The boss will decide how it should be done. In his own language. He is not borrowing anybody's language. This is what we are stressing now. The whole of Inquest of God touches upon this aspect. Every other chapter when you go through, you will find his prayer. And finally in the outpouring also you find that prayer. Not any tall talk. You remember day for yesterday we said, O Ram, what thy slave should do or should not do must be determined by thee alone. He is bewildered, he is helpless, make him resign all to thee. Let him live, move and have his being in thee. Let him live, move and have, let him eat, drink, sleep, move, sit, stand. Then he keeps on telling what all activities we do. Do everything in thy name for thy sake, O Ram, O Divine Mother. Ramdas is thine totally, completely. Heart, soul, body, mind, everything. Suppose we just read it. The theme also helps, no doubt. But what is more important is the way in which the pining has come,
Yes.
The deep-rooted prayer. One devotee brought yesterday a magazine, and he wanted me to go through a particular article. That article was written by a highly evolved and God-realized saint, Narayana Guru.
Yes.
He has written a small 7 or 8, slogas. Pinda? Pinda Nanni. Pinda Nanni. When we are going through, see how they have brought it out. We have read, when we read, there is an intellectual appreciation, emotional appreciation, reverential appreciation, all these things are there. Then we start thinking, unless and until we identify and try to go through the whole thing. There is an inner alignment of what you have and what you read. That is why we get attached to that. We forget about the inner alignment. We concentrate upon the words and then it leaves. But so suppose we try to understand the inner alignment. The theme is there in our heart. The theme has been connected by the Mahatma. Then we are grateful to him. He has touched and kindled in us. That is why we find. When I was in seed form in my mother's womb, he prays, you gave me that seed, as a seed form. Then you took care of me in my mother's womb for 9.5 months. You fed me. Who cared? I was like this in my mother's, and then who took care of me? That is called gratitude, nanni. So I was a pindam, microcosm. So I was a pindam. And that pindam gratefully remembers all that has been provided till it was inside and after it came out. Very, 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 very thought-provoking, It is not merely an article. Suddenly, why do you remember? Why do you feel so much with that? Suddenly you remember there is an inner alignment. We shift our attention from the article to the inner alignment. Then it gets concretized, stabilized in us. It becomes a part of your being. You have become aware of the core of your being. But suppose we concentrate on Guru's words, we will only memorize it, we will reproduce it, that intellectual appreciation will be there. Sentimental appreciation will be there. Reverential appreciation will be there. But it has not become a part of mine. Kindly think about it. So what is needed is our own.
Inner touch. Thank you.
So whatever we chant, suppose we say the Ashtotaram, Lalita Sahasranamam, Vishnu Sahasranamam. After initially we need the discipline. Then I should go through the glories. Out of this 1008, 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or 150, you get connected. If we float at the superficial level, we may not be able to eke out. Not that we should understand that language. No, let it be very clear.
Sorry.
Let it be very clear that it doesn't mean certain people out of simple faith. Out of simple faith, they will chant, they will recite. They will get the real benefit. Why, Inner alignment has been touched and kindled. What am I supposed to derive from this chanting? That we have some idea. We remember there was a person named Appachan in Wayanad. He was working in a daily wage earner, in Puja Swamiji's Purvashram uncle's estate. We have heard about him. Swamiji also remembers, and Swamiji was sharing with us. He may not know anything. He is totally unlettered. But he will come there. Whatever he did, it will be perfect. Any work he took up, the maximum efficiency will come there. And then perfect. And one day he will get up and say, I am going. No wages, no expectation. Where are you going? Who knows? He will say that, no? Nobody could understand. In spite of, in spite of reading In Quest of God, we couldn't understand first.
Self-surrender.
Those things we say that, no. But he is no word about self-surrender or anything like that, no philosophy. But he is conscious of that power in his own way, in his own language. Where are you going? Who knows? And he starts. For some weeks or months he will be away. One fine morning he will again appear. He has his own recitation. You have heard about Nandanar, the other day we said, he was unlettered. So, but the inner alignment has taken place where the idea is to become one with Lord Nataraja, Lord Nataraja is the indwelling reality in everywhere, according to him. He has heard it from the Guru. He has implicit faith in the words of the Guru. So the inner alignment is there. He doesn't need anything else. So what is more important is the inner alignment. Otherwise it becomes a superficial mental exercise. Papa keeps on harping on this. When he says, based upon his own experience, he was able to touch and kindle faith in Ramnam in somebody. In some chapters you will find that. But the doing has to be done by that person. That Papa cannot. Papa doesn't believe in any miracles, because God alone is doing behind it. And why should an individual take credit of it? Everywhere, everything is done by him. So this is very important. Yes, inner alignment. Many of us don't know. That is why the Gurus are called awakeners. They touch and kindle this inner alignment in us. But unfortunately, we forget about this. We look upon them. And finally, in most cases, the progress is very, very limited. Because for anything and everything we are looking up to. Instead of whatever they have taught us, with that we try to go within, unearth in our own way. Because then it is original, it can accommodate all my limitations. When I follow somebody's, I may not be able to. But when it's original, it comes out based upon the limitations I have. So it is practically possible. It becomes practically possible for me to implement.
Swamiji,
For that also you must have an inner connection.
By probing deep, praying to him who is within. Show me. Yesterday's email, wherever when we do it seriously, we get the acknowledgement, that he has heard. We cannot say it is like this, it is like that. That devotee was able to feel, Papa is guiding me.
Yes, Swami.
Ah.
I was guided to go to Srirangam.
What happened?
I dipped in that Kaveri river. I was actually watching the white rope flowing in the waters of Kaveri. It was very momentous.
That inner experience, you will not be able to put it in words, but it wells up and gives you an inexplicable, pleasant feeling, So we are all praying for that. So far we have been depending upon the external factors for everything. The time has come. In-depth study of Inquest of God throws light on this aspect. A stressful person became a serene person. Not because depending upon any external factors. Every time he was able to align, the inner alignment took place with the outer surroundings. He was able to lead a harmonious life. We may not be able to do it, but it gives us some clues. We can try, Everything we have tried. Some we have mastered, some we have failed. Similarly, we can try this. Because we have been telling our mind that we are on inquest of God, in-depth study.
இப்ப நாம உள்ளுக்கா போகும்போது அங்க இதுல பிரேம் நகர்ல போகும்போது சண்டேல deep involvement, everybody sat together, nobody just went out. Ramnam was felt in core, deep in-depth chanting was there. But suddenly one red ant bit me. I didn't know. No, I felt something else. So got up. அங்கே இங்கே போயிட்டு சுற்றி வந்து பார்க்குறேன். அந்த சமயத்தில் அந்த ப்ரேயர் இந்த இது கட் ஆயிருது இல்லையா, அது எப்படி அந்த சிச்சுவேஷன்லையும்
very good. This is what the practical problem. Yeah, very good. This is how we should deal with it.
அந்த மாதிரி வரும்போது ராமநாமம் ட்ரை பண்றேன், எனக்கு பெயினும் இருக்கு.
You will know your methods may fail, but you will find your own method later.
நான்
Because
மாமி விபூதி கொண்டு வந்து அப்ளை பண்ணாங்க. அது for 1 week, still even today it is there.
So but you have not still asked Papa, why he gave you this experience.
I said, it is your play. It is your play, giving pleasure and pain. And then night also, just by 2:30, 3:30, 3 to 4, a disturbed sleep wherein I had that pain. So, and that also, just I got relentless prayer, continuous.
Apo, that you have got the answer now.
Yes.
The ant bite was instrumental in connecting you to him when the pain became unbearable, no?
Yes.
Swamiji, that too in Brahma Muhurtam.
So let this stay with us, Yes. The two theory.
Somehow by 3:30 I get that. Bhagyam.
So 2-3 things. One is self-originated prayer, self-originated efforts. Because when we make an effort or initiative, we are conscious of our limitations. So there won't be any struggle. But when we are trying to follow that somebody may not know our weaknesses, our minus points, our plus points, our preferences, priorities, limitations, he may not know. Outwardly he sees only. Inside only you know what is inside. So when you bring it out in your own way, then it goes along with you. There is the conformity with what you have. That makes the journey smooth. Very important point. So
not be a disturbance for others who are completely in core with Tamil Ramna.
We should be careful, Money is the root of all problem. That in that chapter you find. This is the message he gives us, When the person who lost, we lodged a complaint, natural, But later on he realized how much it created inconvenience and how much it offended the majority or the entire people in the compartment. He was instrumental in creating that. Suppose he had decided to tell the truth to the conductor when he was asked, and a little bit of sacrifice from his part, that would have helped, that would have stopped all these disturbances. So all these things, we have to keep on. Through every anecdote, he gives us a clue. That is why originally we mentioned it as a manual. It is a life manual. Because we try to jot down. You remember Puja Mataji said, it will 11 times she insisted so that we will go within. 11 times she insisted so that we will be able to identify ourselves with the Nirguna Tattva. And she also said after the 11th you will not become one with the Almighty, but you would have set yourself on a process of moving toward that Almighty. So that bhavana should be there, no? How can it come? The Nirguna Tattva or the inward journey can come only because when you each and every chapter, contents of the chapter, is stitched or linked to your own experience. Suppose we take it as Papa's, it will be Papa's always. It has nothing to do with me. But I try to stitch it, with my own experience. Then, at that time I did not know. I was grumbling and complaining. I was blaming others for all the things that had happened. So many things. Now I know, this is how he dealt with it. Even now when we are confronted with such, we will say, how would Papa would have dealt with this? And you find out your own answers in your own way. The purpose of coming in that form and giving us a bite in that particular situation, we are trying to find out, and the experience we had. Initially the painful experience, and at the same time some linking with this. We are passing through In Quest of God. 32 kilometers he walked, and then he was asked to walk back 32 kilometers. How did he? Did his mind come out with any justification, argument, grumbling, complaint? Or he was trying to see some other dimension? So let me also try to see what is the dimension he is trying to bring it out through this particular incident, and you will find your own answers. This is what is expected. The answer also is not expected from the outside. We try to stitch it with our own and try to find out how does it fit. You cannot put somebody's shirt, The tailor has to come and take measurement. So that is nice to look at. The shirt or the pant is nice to look at. But we cannot wear that. It has to fit into me. That is why the tailor comes and makes the measurement and then he stitches out.
It's known as custom. Custom made.
Customary.
Yeah. Exactly like
Yeah. Customize. We say the computer language, customize. So that means each one is different. How does the concept of software come up? Just imagine. One software should have been enough. No. They accepted a different setup needs different types of software. Suppose I give a lecture, this software should be useful for you. It will not. So they go and discuss with the person who wants their software. They try to know what all, and in line with that, they try to bring out, and the software helps him, helps the organization. Through that organization, it helps so many other people. So just think, all these things should be the consolidated earnings of In Quest of God, in-depth study. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Shri Ram, Shri Ram.
Pranam to everybody. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Pranam, Swamiji.
Pranam, pranam, pranam.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.